I had finished dinner and was now just taking a seat in the restaurant that was located at the Sheraton Hotel, where I was going to stay another day. I saw people in line waiting to be seated, so when the nice waitress asked if I would be long, I smiled and asked for the bill. I decided to put him on the number and stood up and then addressed her. My laptop is dead and I need to work on the internet. Do you know if the hotel has a business area with computers? The waitress waved to the bellboy and, taking me by the hand, gently led me to the exit, clearly in a hurry to clear the table. Actually, yes. Stop at the reception desk and they will give you a code and tell you where to go. Thank you for freeing up the table and having a nice evening. At the front desk, I was given a code and shown to the right. There will be an open area, sir, with several computers. Have a nice evening. It began to seem to me that everyone in this hotel wanted me to have a good evening, which, of course, was better than wanting me to have a terrible one. I went up to my room, took my briefcase, and went to work on the internet. About half an hour passed when a woman sat down next to me, looking about 40, several years older than me. It was clear from the expression on her face that she was extremely irritated, mixed with anger. She tried to log in several times without success and was close to tears when she contacted me. Sir, it looks like you know how to log in. Help me, please. Her booth was the required 6 feet from mine, another ridiculous idea, as if the germs knew they weren't allowed to cross the 6 feet. My grandfather summed it up well. I went through 2 tours in Vietnam and received 3 bullets. Damn it, I'm definitely not afraid of some germ that may or may not be flying around. The one that kills less than 2% of people who get the flu. But I digress. I moved my chair close to hers, and as I approached, she moved to the right. When I stopped in front of her computer, she asked if I minded her not wearing a mask. I don't mind at all. You noticed that I'm also not wearing a mask, and I'm not going to put it on. Shall we begin? What's your code? A minute later, I connected her to the system and, deciding to be a gentleman, asked what she was looking for. I wanted to help her find the site, but her look was a mixture of embarrassment and confusion. Her face began to turn red, and I noticed that her breathing had changed. I took the hint, and just as I was about to leave, she stopped me. Please, perhaps you can help me. Oh God, this is so awkward. I want to find one of those sites where you can find a guy for sex. Nothing serious, just one night of sex. We looked at each other from 3 feet away, and I was surprised, to say the least. That is, what seemed to be a housewife sat in front of me and said this. The rings on her fingers were still on. Her clothes were attractive, but not too revealing. Her makeup and hair seemed quickly freshened up. I was both confused and interested in what was going on. I decided to try to find out more information. May I know your name? She studied my face for a long time, about 30 minutes, it seemed to me, although in fact no more than 30 seconds had passed. I felt what she wanted to say, but was afraid. I raised my hand and apologized for invading her space and told her I would leave her alone. But when I was about to turn around, I heard her answer. Riley. You're not some stalker, right? Wait, what a stupid question. I should have asked this before I told her that I was looking for a site for sex. What's your name? Rex. Imagine R and R next to each other at the hotel computers. Who would have thought? She laughed heartily and I continued. I need to ask something, don't take it as insolence, but why are you looking for a meeting site? Are you in town for one night and decide to have an adventure? Do you want to find a lover for one night, or is it some kind of revenge for something he did? No, not really. I'm here with my worthless husband. I want to find a meeting site for a second opinion. Now I was really confused. Second opinion? I've lost track, Riley. Help me figure it out. Turning her chair towards me, she crossed her legs and leaned forward slightly, as if she was about to reveal a secret. I didn't understand why she did this. There was no one within 20 feet of us. The rustle of her stockings as she crossed her legs instantly caught my attention, and she noticed me looking at her legs and smiled. I couldn't see above my knees, but what I could see was quite attractive. She spoke very quietly. I feel kind of frivolous for telling you this because I'm probably old enough. How old are you? 33, and since you opened this door, how old are you? She laughed quietly. Oh my God, you look good. I thought you were 20-something. I turned 46 2 days ago. That's part of the reason I'm here. My worthless husband is at a conference all week. I came thinking we could celebrate my birthday together. But that's not the case. He has no time for me at all. You keep calling him worthless, Riley. Why? Surely there is something good in him. Otherwise, why did you marry him? Oh, when we got married 19 years ago, I thought he was everything a woman could want. And that was until I started having children. And then I became needed only for reproduction, and that's all. He had no time for me, didn't pay attention to me, and only had sex with me to get me pregnant again. I was so gullible, so stupid, until I finally realized that he always had mistresses at work. I felt sorry for her. It's horrible. You are an attractive woman. You don't have any sagging or excess weight on your stomach like many other women. What could he not like? He must be an idiot. So, you plan to take revenge by sleeping with a stranger, right? She dangled her shoe on her toes, and when she moved the chair closer, the shoe fell to the floor. I bent down to pick it up. I don't go after married women, but if she wants me to do it, I won't miss the opportunity. She may have been 10 pounds heavier than ideal, but who is ideal weight now? Her breasts were more than ample. Her waist was typical of a woman who had given birth to several children. Her legs were slender, and her face was soft and graceful. I found myself thinking, what kind of idiot would refuse such a woman? Standing up to hand her the shoe, she held out her foot for me to slip on my toes. When I did this, she crossed her arms again and looked determined. Continuing with a stern expression, she said, actually, it didn't start like that. This week was supposed to be the week I showed him what a great body he was ignoring. I bought sexy lingerie, a new garter belt, silk stockings, lace sheer panty, and bra sets. Complete set. Leaning towards my ear, she whispered, I felt naughty when I left the store, but some women wear such things every day. I smiled. Did he really ignore you in that outfit? She pursed her lips and looked annoyed. Worse, he said he wouldn't touch me. I was stunned. Who treats someone like that? When she straightened up in her chair, I was amazed and at a loss for words. When my thoughts caught up with my emotions, I asked, Are you serious? Did he really say that? She nodded, and I saw tears begin to gather in the corners of her eyes. What did you do, Riley? This must have hurt terribly. I handed her a tissue from the box on the left. She dabbed her eyes so as not to smudge her makeup, blew her nose, threw the tissue away, and tried to smile. I did what anyone would do in such a situation. I went to the bathroom, locked myself, and sobbed while he went to the bar. Since then, we have not spoken, and moreover, he took another number. I never saw him again. I'm tired of his vile remarks. To hell with him and his horse. At this point, sex with her was not my first priority. I was more interested in helping her feel better. It may be none of my business, Riley, but what are your plans? This is serious. She chuckled quietly. Oh, it's over. I'm done with him. He has not shown interest in children for a long time. He does not even know what grade they are in. And even though I don't want his money, I will take every penny from him in court, and the kids will pay off their student loans when they graduate from college. The flight home is scheduled for Saturday. It's Tuesday, but I booked a ticket for Thursday. I have an appointment with a divorce lawyer on Friday, and when he gets home, everything will be in motion. I looked into her eyes. It seems to me that you don't need a second opinion. You've already made your decision. You're going to divorce him. When her shoe came off her foot again, I bent down to pick it up, but she lifted her foot and placed it on my wrist. It wasn't an overt gesture, but I could see a few more inches of her silk-covered leg. Leave it alone, Rex. I don't need a second opinion about divorcing this cheating bastard. I need a second opinion about whether I still have a chance to attract and keep a man or whether it is better to remain alone. I straightened up. You need to be careful with dating sites. They are full of fools with very strange ideas about what sex is. If you really want it, I will help you find such a site, but honestly, be careful. I don't think I need such a site anymore. I think I need you. Are you interested? Ready to try. I moved forward, leaned over, and kissed her. Are you going to wear that outfit you were talking about? I'm here for 2 more days. You can stay in my room and wear both if you want. I know this area pretty well. I can take you to dinner tomorrow night. I will make your stay here memorable in a good way. Standing up, she pushed my chair with her foot and stood with her hand outstretched. Rex, I'll wear whatever you want. Why don't you finish your work, tell me your room number, I'll grab my clothes and overnight bag, and I'll see you in 15 minutes. Let's order champagne, I'll treat you, I want to celebrate. He'll go crazy when he sees that I sent him to another room. Go turn off the computer, don't forget in 15 minutes, and don't take off your clothes. I want to unpack my gift myself. I again asked myself why anyone would voluntarily give up such a woman. Just before she knocked on my door, champagne arrived, chilled in a bucket of ice. When the waiter left, I heard a soft knock. I opened the door and took her luggage, which turned out to be more than just clothes and cosmetics. I shrugged. I decided not to return to that room again. He won't even notice that I left. You're stuck with me until I leave. I will do everything to make you forget about everything for these 2 days. You can have your say when we head out on Thursday. I didn't tell her that I was planning to leave on Wednesday. I could easily have extended my stay another day to please this lovely woman. Perhaps we will decide to spend the entire Wednesday evening in bed, pleasing each other. She may have doubted her abilities, but I certainly didn't. This was just what I needed before my 3 weeks trip to Asia. Women abroad are available, but in my experience there was too much that could go wrong, so I tended to abstain when abroad, whether on the other side of the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean. Riley, it will be my pleasure to try to satisfy you in every way. La. Now, can we stop stalling and start this show? By the end of the preliminary selections, the champagne will be well chilled. Do you want to start first? Or me? I like the way you think, Rex. Take my clothes off first, then I can do whatever I want to you while yours comes off. Oh, and I like to talk dirty if it really feels good, so be prepared just in case. They had sex. What came out of her mouth was, Rex, where have you been for so many years? MWE woke up when daylight began to break through the curtains. I have a meeting at 10, let's order breakfast to the room. While I'm at the meeting, buy yourself a dress for the evening. I'll make a reservation for dinner. I'll leave you a shopping card. I'll be back around 2, and if you want, we can continue to have fun. She looked at me with bewilderment. If I want? Yes, that's all I want. You did a great job making me happy last night. My second opinion research is going better than I could have dreamed. I find public frankness disgusting, but Rex, behind closed doors, I will be anything to you. I'm yours. I have to go to work. Enjoy your morning. I'll see you around 2. I was in a suit, she pulled my tie, kissed me, and pushed me out the door. I wondered what her husband was thinking now. This idiot should have paid more attention to her. I highly doubted that he even noticed her absence from the room, especially if he was currently occupied with some girl in another room. Personally, I didn't care. I had no intention of falling in love with this wonderful woman, but I was fully confident that I would continue to shower her with attention. I received a message around 1 p.m. as lunch with my client was ending. Attached was a photograph of her wearing a beautiful sea green dress with a flowing skirt. At the bottom it said, "Hurry up, there's dessert waiting for you, and maybe we'll eat something too." The smile on my face seemed to say it all, and the client began to smile too, and then laughed. You should go and deal with whoever just made your face glow like the midday sun. If I'm not hinting too subtly, do something nice for her on my behalf. I shook my head. No chance, Phil. I want everything this woman has to offer me. She is truly special. On the taxi ride back to the hotel, I thought about my situation. What if I meet such a woman closer to my age? Perhaps I will still decide to get married, although this was not part of my immediate plans. But who knows? Anything can happen when you least expect it. Either way, it was food for thought, at least for a while. When I returned to the room, she was no longer there. But not even 5 minutes had passed when there was a knock on the door. Opening it, I saw Riley wearing the same dress she sent me in the photo. She looked stunning. Rising on tiptoe, she kissed me tenderly and, taking my hand, led me into the room. "I bought this dress especially for you, Rex," she whispered as soon as we walked inside. "I hope you like it." I was delighted. Her eyes were shining, and her smile was so sincere and joyful that I felt warmth spreading inside me. "You look great, Riley," I replied, wrapping my arms around her waist. "I think dinner will be special." We ordered a bottle of champagne, and while we waited for it to arrive, we enjoyed light conversation, sipping the drink and exchanging tender touches. Riley talked about her children, how she hopes they don't repeat the mistakes of their parents, and how she wants them to be happy in life. Her concern for the future of her children touched me, and I realized that standing in front of me was a strong, courageous woman, ready to take life into her own hands and change it for the better. When the champagne ended and it was time for dinner, we left the room and went to the restaurant. I booked a table in the corner, away from prying eyes, so we could enjoy our dinner. As soon as we were behind the closed door, Riley suddenly pulled me towards her, and we made love. We lay there, I felt her heart pounding wildly in her chest. She was smiling, her eyes were closed, and she looked absolutely happy. "Thank you, Rex," she whispered. "You made my life brighter." I kissed her forehead softly and hugged her even tighter. That night, we fell asleep in each other's arms, knowing that there was more pleasure to come. Entering the room at 1:15, my eyes met the seductive Riley in a bright red slip and matching panties, without anything extra. Sitting, leaning against the headboard, she beckoned me with her finger, inviting me to come over. I took off my jacket, kicked off my shoes, and walked over to the bed. Sitting sideways on the edge, looking at her, I saw her smile and pull me in for a soft, sensual kiss. "How was your morning? Was the client a decent person or a grumpy jerk like my husband? Was the meeting successful?" I slid next to her, leaning against the headboard, took her hand and kissed it. "Yes, the meeting was successful, and yes, it was profitable. Are you hungry? Have you eaten?" She whispered in my ear. "The only thing I want is you." We made love. We then started getting ready for our dinner. Watching her do her hair and put on her makeup made me wonder again what kind of idiot would dump a woman like that for some fake blonde with fake breasts who's probably slept with hundreds of men. Our taxi driver turned out to be an elderly woman. As soon as we got into the car, I gave her the address. She smiled, winked at Riley, and said, "Behave, you two." Riley smiled back and said, "No way." We ordered her favorite pre-dinner appetizer, onion rings, with a glass of wine for her and water for me. Considering how many times we'd had sex in the last 36 hours, we knew we had at most one more try left, and by the time we got into the room, it was already 9:45. "Do you mind if we wait until we have our goodbye sex?" I thought maybe around 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll have to go to the airport by 8 so we can have sex and get ready for the day. "How do you like it, lover?" "Riley, what about the money when he finds out you filed for divorce? Can you handle it? I can help if you need it." She laughed. "I think he should worry more about finances. I have the money, not him. Yes, he has a good job, but it's my huge trust fund, not his. I insisted on a marriage contract, or rather, my grandfather insisted on it, and now I'm very happy about it. My grandfather set up a trust fund for me when I was still in high school, and I also inherited all of his assets when he died. When I turned 21, I started receiving the equivalent of a year's salary from this fund. When he died 4 months ago, all his property passed to me, and I have been renovating it ever since. I'll start living there when I return. This idiot won't be able to touch anything. We'll only share what we've accumulated together during our marriage, but that's all. The trust and inheritance were in my name before I even met the idiot I married. Even so, he won't get much. We have a disloyalty clause in the contract, and I can prove he's broken it many times. As they say, let him walk through the forest." I was puzzled. "Why did you stay with him?" "Good question. I'm not sure. As they say, hope dies last. At first it was for the sake of the children. After they left home, I probably hoped that something would change. It sounds stupid, but that's how it happened. You helped me realize that I'm not a fat old prostitute, as he called me. He's just a creep, and I'm done with him. Damn, I wish I could take you home with me. I held her close and said nothing more. Yes, if I were older and ready for a serious relationship, I could easily decide to have one with her. Sleep came quickly, as did morning at 4 o'clock. I'll give you my contacts, and I'd like to get yours. If you're ever in Atlanta, be sure to let me know. We rode together in a taxi to the airport. My flight to Houston was 2 hours late, so I decided to sit at the gate with her until boarding began. I held her hand, but we didn't do anything else except give her a long, tender kiss as we stood up. I asked the last question. Did you get the answer you were looking for regarding a second opinion? I asked. You were the perfect answer, Rex. You gave it to me loud and clear in every sense. Don't forget to call if you're in Atlanta. I wrapped up my business in Houston and caught the last flight home, arriving in Flint, Michigan shortly after 8 p.m. When we landed. I texted my sister to let her know I'd be home by 9. Darlene has lived with me for the last 5 years since she was widowed. She is the eldest of us, and I am the youngest. No, we don't have an intimate relationship. The closest thing to that is a greeting hug. She's dating Elrom, who works at a Ford dealership, and they have been together for almost a year. Several times I returned home a day earlier than expected and found them with Elrom in the room. She always smiled and blushed slightly when she left the bedroom with room and saw me on the sofa or in the kitchen. The pleasant aroma of beef roast greeted my nostrils as I walked through the back door with my luggage. Darlene came out of the living room and greeted me with our usual hug and the words, "Good to see you." After putting my bags in my room and quickly going to the bathroom, I went to the kitchen, where dinner was already on the table. We chatted about this and that while we ate, and afterward she brought me coffee and asked how my week had been. It went well, Darlene. Even better, it was a phenomenal week. I wouldn't mind repeating it. She grinned and gave me an older, sisterly look. You must have met a woman on your way. It's been a long time since you've had something like this. In this regard, I can always tell. I didn't go into details. We don't talk much about our personal lives, and that suits me just fine. Since tomorrow was Saturday, I went about my business outside. Our agreement was that she does all the housework and I do the outside work, which was fine for both of us. I had just finished cleaning the lawnmower and was putting it away when my phone beeped with Riley's number. Riley, hey, handsome. I wanted to thank you for a wonderful time. The meeting with the lawyer was successful. Me, hello. I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with you too. When will he be notified? Riley, funny you should ask. When he discovered that I had left a day early, he extended his stay until the next Thursday. I think he planned to spend this time with a blonde fool. So, I plan to have him notified on Tuesday at the hotel. The lawyer I hired is a spirited woman whose husband cheated on her several years ago. It's going to be an interesting evening for Justin. Oh, how I wish I was a fly on the wall. Me, this is the first time you mentioned his name. You're vindictive. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Riley, when are you coming to Atlanta? Me, I need to be in Southeast Asia for 3 weeks, so I won't be on the East Coast for another month or more. Maybe I'll fly through Europe instead of the Pacific and stop in Atlanta on the way home. Will it do? Riley, of course. Me, I'll call in advance. When I left Bangkok, I told her that I would be in Atlanta on Friday afternoon and did not plan to leave until Sunday evening. Her answer came in the form of a message with a picture. The caption read, "Looking forward to seeing you." Her house was everything I expected. A perfectly manicured lawn and shrubs, everything was in its place and in bloom. Meeting me at the door, she wrapped her arms around my neck and gave me a kiss. I stepped back and pointed to the spacious yard with my hand. Yes, everything breathes with wealth. This was my grandfather's house, and he always kept it that way. When he bequeathed everything to me, he insisted that I maintain it in the same form. This doesn't bother me. He left me a lot of money so that I could keep the yard in perfect condition. Come in, I'll show you my room where you can freshen up. Gretchen is almost ready for dinner. You will sleep with me all weekend. Gretchen is leaving to visit her eldest daughter. Oh, and I bought myself some sexy lingerie. With such well-kept grounds and wealth evident everywhere, I once again wondered what was wrong with her husband if he was such a fool as to ignore her and their children. She didn't strike me as a secret bitch or a terrible woman. On the contrary, she was very pleasant and funny to talk to. When I came out of the bathroom, Riley was sitting on the bed with her arms outstretched, and I willingly sat down next to her. She wasted no time, immediately giving him a kiss. I really want to undress you, but Gretchen put her heart and soul into preparing dinner for you. I told her a little about you when I got home, and she is looking forward to meeting the man who brought the smile back to my face. And no, we do not contact her or participate in case you were wondering. How about you lie here for a while Gretchen sets the table? Gretchen was a sweet woman in her 60s who had worked for her family for over 30 years. She and I hit it off immediately, and by the time she was ready to leave for the weekend, it felt like we had known each other for years. Riley told her not to worry about the dishes, that we could handle them ourselves, and wished her a wonderful weekend. We were loading the dishwasher when the phone rang. Riley saw her ex was calling and hung up. I was curious. How are you doing with the old man? What's his name? Does he accept the fact that he is being kicked out? Will my presence here create problems? She smiled and stroked my cheek. No, my beloved, your presence will not complicate the situation in any way. On the contrary, it will give me confidence to move on. He was extremely unpleasant, called me the same fat woman of easy virtue, ridiculed you for spending 2 days with me, and hinted that I would beg him to come back. Honestly, I think this idiot thought he would take advantage of my fortune when I received my inheritance. And you know, if he had been a better husband and father, all this could have been shared with him. But not now. Have you seen or heard about him since your return? I asked. Oh, sometimes I see from afar. I force him to contact me through my lawyer, and it infuriates him. He has dinner at the club every Saturday night, so I planned our evening there. I want this vile geek to see how handsome you are. If you have no objections, I intend to behave very frankly. But only with you, of course. Are we going to do anything else besides dinner? I love to dance if you do too. She grinned and whispered quietly. I love dancing. Saturday was a calm, measured day. We kissed a little, but didn't make love. She insisted on waiting until we returned from the club. The late afternoon nap seemed to be fine, after which we took a quick shower, dried ourselves off, and started getting dressed. I brought a suit, tie, and business trousers with shoes. It was normal business attire, and I wanted to look good next to it. She, in turn, was dressed as she described earlier, a gray pleated skirt that barely reached mid-thigh, a light red silk blouse. She really looked the way she wanted. We had finished dinner and were sitting at a table near the dance floor when her ex-husband entered the room with the same blonde bimbo he was with at the conference. I looked at Riley and grinned. Look at this, Riley. This must be true love. We laughed and sat back, waiting for the band to start performing. He didn't notice us at first, but when he saw us, he stood up to approach us. I also stood up and just looked at him. Being a cut above, I made him change his mind. We quietly sipped our drinks and waited for the young people to finish their vigorous dancing, accompanied by rubbing against each other. We didn't see them after the slow music started. We immediately went out onto the dance floor, finding ourselves in each other's arms. I know it's all the rage right now for couples to cuddle up to each other and slowly shift in place, as if they're dancing in the shadows. But I like the old ways. With Riley in my arms, we glided across the dance floor, occasionally twirling or tilting her slightly. People watched us demonstrate how to dance for real. We were dancing the third dance when she whispered, "He looks, it's time for me to go on stage." In the taxi, on the way back, she clung to me, and I didn't mind. The driver was a young woman who seemed to be enjoying herself, a smile never leaving her face. Once the lights went out, it took us less than 3 minutes to get completely naked. We made love. This may be the last time you see me, Rex. I'm leaving for Europe on Tuesday. The kids will join me as soon as their exams are over, and I'll be there for at least a year. Maybe I'll call you when I get back, but no promises. Thank you for showing me that I was still desirable, for loving me, and for not seeing me as a fat old woman of easy virtue. This asshole will disappear from my life completely by next month. Maybe I will find a young man like you in Switzerland. I hugged and kissed her for the last time. At the checkpoint, I turned, waved, and blew her a kiss. The cute minx lifted her skirt high enough for me to see her panties, and then she laughed and turned away. The guy standing next to me could barely breathe after seeing what I saw. He looked at me. Man, I wish my wife would do that. And he walked away. I never saw her again. About 4 months after she left, I received a call from her. She said she didn't know when she'd be back, but if she did, she'd call me. I continued to live my life as usual. When I think about her, it always brings a smile to my face. I'm still single, hoping to find someone like her, but I'm not sure I ever will. She set the bar high, and I will live with the memories until that special woman comes along. Until then, Darlene and I will move on. Who knows, maybe she will marry Elroy, and I will be alone again. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think, click to the next one. Click to the next one.